All right, so I had some questions on a post I made on Instagram the other day of making this roof section piece that goes above the doors on the 1940 Cadillac Lasalle. So we're gonna video making the one for the passenger side. So I took our pattern that I'd already made for the driver's side. I'd flipped that over and then laid it out on a new steel blank. So it's the same pattern, just inverted. So we'll do some close-ups of the pattern, the blank, and the piece I already made, and then we'll set the power hammer up and we'll go into making it and talk a little bit about each process as I go. So on our metal here, I've got these marks, hopefully you can see them. It says LTSH. That means light shrink. So to accomplish that, in our power hammer here, I've got our mini thumbnail shrink dies. I'm gonna check our clearances on those again before we get started and just make sure that it's exactly where I need it to be. And we're gonna come in and we're going to shrink on each one of these lines to help get our compound shape achieved this way and this way. It's going to kind of pull our panel up in an odd over-shaped look, but once we blend all that out, it'll kind of relax it and it'll pretty much fall right into place. So now all initial shrinking's done. You can kind of see what I was talking about, how it pulled the form of the panel kind of odd, but it's because this way needs to be pretty much a 5-inch radius at the front and tapering out into a 12-inch radius at the back. So from this point, with the shrinks just kind of being roughed in, you can see how lumpy it is. We're gonna use the large power hammer and we're just going to blend our shrink marks out and get the surface pretty flat, and then we can go ahead and adjust the form. So we're on the big power hammer and I've got a flat upper die and a 36-inch radius lower anvil. And what that'll do is, like I mentioned, it'll blend all of our shrink marks out and get the panel relatively straight, and we can move forward from there. All right, so blended everything out. It's still a little wavy, but I can get that out in the final planish with the air planisher. Wipe the oil off from shaping on the big hammer. And you can see that it's still kind of sitting up in a weird form, but if I push down on that, it'll take some of that out. So next I'm gonna use the wheeling machine with a rubber upper anvil. That'll allow us to adjust the form and kind of start with a 5-inch radius blending back into the 12-inch at the back. So we'll start to adjust that and you'll see the panel settle down height-wise, but the radius horizontally will tighten up a little bit and the form will correct the shape. All right, so we're at the wheeling machine and rubber-coated upper wheel. That allows us to push up into the rubber and not do any real stretching work. and I've got a 4-inch radius lower anvil in. The panel needs to be 5 inches, but you want a little tighter of a radius than the desired final product so you don't gouge your edges. So I'm going to start and kind of work my way back, and then I'll change the anvils and blend that form outward as I come towards the back, and you'll see that the panel will start to flatten out as I put the form in to correct the shape. All right, so you can see that the panel doesn't really fit down on here right. You know, here the radius is fine, and here the radius is fine, but it's kind of bowed out this way. That's all right. So when I shrink this, I usually over shrink just a little bit. That way I can go back in and I can hammer out the shrink marks and get the surface that much smoother and tighter. So now that the form is kind of just in there to get an initial idea, like you can kind of see that I can push that down. I'm gonna go back to the power hammer and we're gonna blend and kind of hammer out our shrink marks a little bit more. And as they relax, it'll allow that to just kind of settle down on there. All right, so we're back at the big hammer and I'm going to blend out and stretch out some of the shrinks I talked about when we were over at the car. And this will allow the panel to relax more this direction. Again, I do that, I over shrink this just so I can come back and hammer it more and get the material smoother and get rid of any potential bad shrinks I have. So I'm gonna fire up the hammer and we'll get back to stretching these out. All right, so with the next pass on the hammer of blending out and stretching the shrinks, I'm gonna head back over to the wheeling machine and I'm gonna repeat the process of adjusting the form with the upper rubber anvil, and then we'll check it to the car and we'll repeat that process if we need to until we get the panel to fit real nice to the roof. All right, with that little bit of adjusting on the hammer and the wheel, it fits pretty decent. It fits pretty close at the front, pretty close at the back. From this point, I'm gonna switch over to the air planisher and I can continue refining this and get everything more in a relaxed state, work out any other high spots and low spots. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna come in here, I'm just gonna roughly draw this and I'll clean it up later, but I'm gonna go ahead and put this radius in here. That way I'm not fighting with this corner trying to hold any pressure or tension in the panel. So I'll get it pulled back off here, get the air planisher set up, we'll planish everything out and we'll have a finished piece. So I'm here at the Milwaukee air planisher and I have a rectangle die set up. I'm holding it in with a little bit of tape to keep it from rotating. It's 36 this way by 3 inches long. So that way I can work lengthwise this way and I can keep this radius and not really change this much, but still work out all the highs and lows. So I'm gonna kick this guy on, we'll get the pressure and the air adjusted, and we'll get everything planished out. Panel's all planished out, so I'm gonna go over and retest fit it to the car and see how it looks. Okay, it fits pretty good, so pretty happy with it. Now I can go ahead and drill and cleco it into place, and I'll call this one good for now. So that's it, guys. I appreciate you watching and checking it out. Please make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. And if you can, drop me a comment down in the comment section. Let me know what you think of this video. Check out some of our other videos and just kind of let us know so we can keep the content growing and you guys can see what you want to see. So again, thanks for watching and we'll catch you on the next one.